Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm reviewing a book by Millie Belizaire. I hope that's how you say her name. If not, I apologize. But this is an author that I've been reading for about a year. I really love this author. She's a Black indie romance author. I do read books that are not Black indie romance, but I just find them the easiest to review because I really love the genre. But anyway, she's a Black indie romance author. And this is another author that I think that you should start at the beginning of her catalog, just because the universes are so well intertwined. But her first book is part of a 3-book series, the Collide series, which I highly recommend. But since it's part of a series and I can't review a series in a 15-minute video, I chose to review one of her standalone books. She's written 2 standalone books, The Garden of Eden and Fast. Fast is her latest standalone book, but I was not about to be out here crying my eyes out on YouTube trying to review a book. So that's out of here. But it is an excellent read. I really love that book. But because of that, I chose to review The Garden of Eden. This is such a good read. It's so well written. I know I say that about all the books I review, but I do try to only review books that I feel like are well written. But anyway, it's so well written. The characters are relatable, which might be a little bit funny once I get into that, their backgrounds. But the characters are relatable, and it's just a really enjoyable read. So the book kicks off with a rather salacious retelling of the creation story told to us by Andrew Lavigne. After that, it goes into him sharing his memories of the summer of 2005 with us from New Orleans. This is how you introduce a character. Right from the beginning, I fell in love with Drew. I just got really attached to him in these first few pages. And Drew is he's a son of a pastor from a mega church, a very well-to-do pastor. He himself is the youth pastor at that church, but Drew doesn't believe in God. And as you read the story, you learn about why he has a rather, tumultuous relationship with God. Drew has a very unusual best friend for a pastor, but Drew lets us know right away, like, he don't care what we think about him. Like, he does not care. Drew is an artist, but he's not like a practicing artist, but he is an artist. He's just like a very reserved, he's kind of a loner. And it takes, us going through this story for us to really learn Drew's personality. It comes out slowly, but little by little, we get to really see who Drew is. And I just really love this character. Eden Xavier is a pop star. She is a very successful pop star. When we meet her, she's at the Grammys. But Eden isn't necessarily thrilled with the course that her career has taken. But honestly, she doesn't feel like she can do anything about it because her family, specifically her brother, has sacrificed so much to get her to this point. So I think she doesn't feel like she can be anything but grateful. Eden is very lonely. As a result of her success, she's lost all of her friends. So she's just kind of in a tough spot when we meet her. I'm going to give a nod to a third character who I kind of feel is like a major character, but not kind of background at the same time. But Millie really made New Orleans come to life in this book. And I really, really love that about this. But anyway, so this book is a book about relationships on all levels. Child-parental relationships, significant other relationships, friendships, situationships. It's just a book about relationships and about setting boundaries and about learning to navigate relationships that don't necessarily serve you anymore. So we really see that from both characters. And I just feel like Millie really explores in this book what happens or what could happen when we are not in healthy relationships. So these people are people who hold on to not healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, because different reasons: codependency, afraid of being alone, fear of making people unhappy, deep-seated insecurities, just a multitude of reasons that they hold on to these unhealthy relationships. And because they have never been in a healthy relationship, parental, friendships, relationships, situationships, when they are trying to enter into a relationship themselves, it's very difficult because they don't even know what healthy relationships look like. They don't know how to behave in a healthy relationship. They have deep-seated trust issues. Eden is very insecure, and we will see throughout this book why she's that way. So this is a book about letting negativity and letting bad relationships just fester. And once that happens, how do you recover from that? How do you enter into a new relationship, a relationship that could be potentially, could be lifelong and happy when you've never experienced happy relationships before. Um, and that is what I think is so relatable about these characters. Um, I think lots of us struggle with, sorry, I think lots of us struggle with what do we do with friendships that don't serve us, or with relationships that we are no longer happy in? How do you get out of them? What do you owe that person that you've been friends with for so long, or that you've been in a relationship with for so long? What do you owe them? What do you owe yourself? So I just think that this author did a really good job of examining those types of relationships, and not to mention parental relationships. So many of us battle with what to do with parents that have not been the most nurturing they could have been, or have not set the best examples that they could have, or have not necessarily shown the love that they could have to us growing up. And not because they were, terrible people. Maybe they struggle for different reasons. Maybe they never had that love shown to them. But how do you navigate these cyclical, um, traumatic relationships? So I think that this book does an outstanding job of just illustrating all of the things and ways that you are not taking care of yourself by being in these relationships that don't serve you. So I'm going to be going over some of my favorite scenes in the book, but there will be no spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, then you can still watch this portion of the video, and just look out for it if you decide to read the book. So first up, I have Eden and Drew's first encounter. You can just sense the desperation in Eden just to get away from her life for a second. I mean, look at what she goes through to get there. And it was a bit intense initially, but it did turn out to be a really good night. So I really like that scene. Next up, I have, Eden and Drew's second encounter at the cemetery. Um, I think the author does like a really good job of creating intimacy between these two with just through small acts of caring. And I think that this is one of the scenes that really builds on their intimacy. I'm looking down at my notes. Next up I have, Eden meets Drew the artist. This is a really, really funny scene, actually. It starts off hilarious. But Eden meets Drew the artist, and Eden lets her guard down a little bit, and Drew lets his guard down a little bit. These are two very guarded people, and they kind of establish a friendship of sorts, if you will. Next up I have, oh, Eden's introduction to mud bugs. um, Drew takes Eden out to one of his, favorite places to eat, and they just have like a deep conversation. Deep, but not like super deep, because to be honest, they both have trust issues, and they're kind of keeping it a little bit surface. But they get to know each other a little bit more, and they're slowly letting their guard down. But I think in this scene we can just see that these are really just two great people, and it's kind of sad that they don't have other people that they can share their greatness with, because they just are really two good people. Next up I have, Drew meets Eden, the artist. Drew is not moved by Eden's her catalog so far. He's not that moved by it. But Eden takes Drew to the studio with him one day, and he becomes a fan. He becomes a real fan. And I don't know. I just feel like I saw Eden, playing the piano in this scene. I heard Green Aphrodisiac by Corinne Bailey Rae. It was just such a good scene. I really loved this. Oh, Drew finally sharing his entire story with Eden. Everything that makes Drew. This was a really tough scene for him, you could tell. But I was very proud of Drew. I didn't think he was gonna get there. And to be honest, it kind of helped alleviate just a little bit of Eden's insecurities where they were concerned, because Eden is still a very insecure person. So, also I have the date that follows Drew's revelations. So just, him revealing himself, and then the date afterwards. I just think it's a really, really great scene. Next up I have, Eden's mom showing her some support in a tough time in her career. This is the first time that I think that we're seeing them communicate, or even Eden speak of her mom in a positive way. And it's a really good scene, but it's also hilarious. Her mother is funny. And I kind of lump some scenes together so I can keep it to 10. But also I included in that Drew standing up to his father, and I think that's an outstanding scene too. It was a long time coming, and I'm happy that it happened. Next up I have Eden and Lauren's budding relationship. I'm a person who loves to see old characters in new books, and these are two people who really deserve strong friendships. They really are good people, and they didn't have the friends that they should have had. Their friends weren't supportive in the ways they should have been, and have their backs in the ways they should have been. So for these two to become friends it's a really good scene. I really love their budding relationship, and how it starts is pretty hilarious. Drew and Eden's chickens coming home to roost. Well, you know what they say about not handling things that are problems in your lives. This is a live look in on when two people have not handled anything that they should have in their life. So I'm going to say the showdown between Eden and Andrew. Oh, Lord, Eden was wrong. She was so wrong. But I'm not going to lie, I understood her perspective. I really did. And I feel like this is the first time we really see Eden dealing with some of her major insecurities that have just festered for years. And I understand that too. Like, bad life experiences can cause you to make some horrible decisions, and oh God, Eden, what were you thinking? I'm just gonna throw in a bonus if you know scene. I can't really say too much about the scene because I feel like it does give away major spoilers. But if you know, about a very heart-wrenching. Um, but I don't know. It's just, if you know this scene, if you read this book, then you know what I'm talking about with Drew and his visit to Miami. So those are some of my favorite scenes. So if you are going to read the book, then look out for them. So up last, who won the book and who benefited the most from entering into this relationship? Drew. Drew won the book. He's such a different character. And I don't even know how you make a character that's this guarded so compelling, but he is. So I think Drew definitely won the book. As far as who benefited most from entering into this relationship, I'm going to go with it's a tie for different reasons. I don't know what it was in Eden that caused Drew to open up, um to go so far outside of who he normally is. But whatever it was in Eden, she brought it out, and I don't think that anyone else could have. But as far as Eden needed someone who was going to enter her life with good intentions, who wasn't looking for a come up, who wasn't going to be wowed by her and actually get to know her as a person. And Drew was that person. So uh, I think it was a tie. I really do. So that's the end of my review. Thank you for watching. I hope you check out this book and all other books by Millie Belizaire. I hope that's right. Um, I think you should start at the beginning of her catalog. So definitely check her out. If you are interested in more reviews, I just read Flagrant by Alexandria House, and I think I want to review that. I might review that next. So anyway, if you're interested in more book reviews, then please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.